color combinations I use are maybe a bit unique. I'm not sure that there's much that's really unique in art these days, but maybe uncommon would be a better way to describe how sometimes I'll place colors next to each other. For example, this shade of yellow with that turquoise. I don't know, I like it. Maybe it has a tropical kind of look to it. My interest in art really began to form when I was in the Air Force as a technical instructor in the early 70s. And I really just wanted to learn how to use the tools, how to mix paint, what brushes to use, and what surfaces to put paint on. I was primarily interested in being a painter. And dropped out, went to law school, became a lawyer, practiced immigration law for about 20 some odd years. Stopped doing that because of an illness, decided that I was going to devote the rest of my working life to painting pictures. And I've been doing that ever since. When I was working on it, I was imagining my own mind and how it works. This represents a person's soul to me, their inner spirit and self. And I see it, I can read it actually either from right to left or left to right. And when I read it from the left, I see energy that's kind of dispersed, that then moves to the right and kind of coalesces in a whole. And if you read it from, or if I read it from right to left, I see the opposite taking place. An individual together, so to speak, who, because of whatever they're experiencing, begins to unravel a bit. And the soul is something, the spirit is something that goes together and comes apart just because of life experience. When I first started to paint, seriously, back in the early 90s, I began using watercolor because it was inexpensive and easy to work with, at least I thought it was. And I did realist kinds of things. Abstraction was not even on my radar at the time. And the more I painted, the more I noticed that you could take a real scene and paint abstractly to represent it. Working with the paint showed me where abstractions were possible, even in painting things like boats and skies and people. I gradually moved away from realism and into abstraction, finding it very satisfying and also being kind of a curious person. It struck me as a way to explore beyond creating art that was representative, primarily because representation constrains what you can do with materials. I developed watercolor paintings and then I moved to oil paintings and eventually to work with acrylic painting and discovered this thing called Yepo, which is plastic sheet, probably about 3 years ago after I attended an art seminar that was given by a really well-known, practicing professional artist. I found that it was a lot different than working on canvas because the paint would slide as opposed to canvas where even though it's like this woven structure that's pretty tight, there's still tension and resistance on the canvas, and there's really no resistance on the smooth Yepo surface. So it allowed sliding and longer lines and the opportunity to really get your whole body into it and kind of bring the energy from your physical self right into a piece.